Hi. Good choices and bad choices. So good and bad are like absolutes. They're 100% way of thinking, all or nothing. We have something called wise, wiser, lack of judgment, more lack of judgment. That's why we have these other words that we create. So we're going to go from making poor choices to making better choices, or choices that give you more nutritional value versus choices that don't. So let's start to think of it that way. Are there ways that you can enjoy things that you really love, traditionally speaking, in a better format? So we've talked about eating less. We've talked about waiting until we're, taking a while to enjoy it, noticing when we're full, and all of those things. Is there a way to make what you enjoy a little better? So we're going to play this game, and it's called Can I Make It Better? And so think about when you might have injured yourself as a child and your mother would make your owie much better. All right, so going back to my favorite food, which in case you haven't figured it out by now, brownies rank up there pretty high. How could I make brownies a little bit better? Well, let's look at the ingredients. We know that there's flour, sugar, usually some type of fat, salt, vanilla, and then of course chocolate or cocoa. How can I make it better? Well, instead of using white flour, I could use a combination of whole wheat flour and white flour. I could use all whole wheat flour. I can also use black beans. Once you drain the beans, they make a great moist substitute for the flour. So then I'm getting a little bit higher protein than I would be without. And I could do whole wheat flour with the black beans. Let's look at fats. Are there ways that I can still have the taste and the texture by changing some of the fats? So we know that brownies have a lot of fat in them. I can also use some type of fruit puree. That could be an applesauce. It could be prunes. It could be anything that's moist like that and stirred up. That can replace all of the fat or some of the fat, depending on the texture that you like. Let's look at fat just itself. If I wanted to change the fat, which old brownies used to call for lard, I could also substitute that with coconut oil or olive oil or any of the other oils that I think might help me at that time. And then finally, your binder, which you could use soy flour if you had an egg allergy. You can also use agar gum. Those are different levels of good choices based on, or not good, but wise choices based on your body. And you can also use a whole egg, which is fine, or you could use egg whites, which is equally fine. Now let's talk about the sweetener. So there are varying degrees of sweeteners out there. Honey has some nutrition in it. It's also antibacterial. It's also really high in sugars. So depending on my goal, if my goal is fat loss, I may not want a lot of that. Sugar's all natural. Your body knows what to do with it. And it comes in varying degrees of being processed. Same thing. How can I make sugar the best choice for me, the most wisest choice? And then there's other things. There's succinate, there's molasses, there's corn syrup, there's concentrated sugars, there's concentrated fruit juices. Bottom line though, if I want to cut down on the actual amount of sugar or carbohydrates, then I would be looking towards either the sugar-free substitutes that are man-made or the ones that are less man-made but still processed, which would be like your stevia, your xylitol, and other sweeteners. So there you have it, brownies completely redone. How do they taste? They're pretty good. Are they exactly the same? No, I'm not gonna lie to you. Do they get me through? Sure. Do my taste buds change over time? Yes. And every once in a while, do I want the same old brownie? You betcha. I'm just not having them all the time. Anyways, have a great day.